So today we do have a panel of folks from ECU that will be able to share a little bit about their experience at ECU, and I'm so excited to have all of them here. And so we'll just let them go through and introduce themselves. I'm going to get them to tell you where they're from, and really why, like, well, obviously their name, where they're from, and then why they chose to come to ECU. And Justice, you're first on my screen, so I'm going to let you start.
Okay, so like Ms. Karen said, my name is Justice Beverly. I am a orientation assistant here for the Office of Student Transitions. I am originally from a small town in Virginia called Tappahannock, but I've lived in North Carolina for the majority of my life. And the main reason why I attended ECU kind of sounds kind of corny, but compared to some of the other universities in North Carolina, I've kind of felt like a sense of belonging. I'm pretty sure that's what everybody says, but but considering that that I mostly represent a huge lineage of Native heritage, and seeing that there are certain organizations on campus that have that are able to represent some of the minority groups that make up a huge part of our university, it kind of drew me into going to ECU.
All right, great. All right, and Zaria, you're next on my screen, so I'll pick on you.
Yeah, so hi everybody. My name is Zaria Hudson. I am from Raleigh, North Carolina, and that is where I'm at right now. But I can't wait to get back to Greenville. Um, and the reason that I decided to come to ECU, so originally I picked ECU because I was looking for a specific major, and there were very few schools that offered it. So ECU was like my first choice because of that, and it was close to home. And then I actually took my first tour after I had made that decision, and I like completely fell in love with the campus. It's just absolutely beautiful. And it was, I believe it was open house, so it was like spring, and the grass was like green, and it just looked really homey. So like Justice said, I fell in love with like the ways the campus, the feel of the campus, the way it looked, and was really excited to join Pirate Nation that fall. So yeah.
Okay, awesome, thanks. And Mariel, you're up next.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mariel Ortega. I am a Hispanic majors education. So like my certification is in education, and I'm doing Hispanic studies, which is like the overall major. I am an incoming senior, so I'm very excited about that. I am
Ooh.
China, and the reason why I chose ECU is because I was first generation, and not even like any family friends that I knew like were in college or anything. So I was like really, really scared about like having to go to college. Like it was very nerve wracking. And I always told myself I'm never going to ECU, but my friend was like, "Hey, let's go take a tour." So we took a tour, and like I said, I fell in love with the campus. It wasn't too big, wasn't too small. So I was like, you know what, this is gonna be my choice now.
Okay, awesome, thanks. All right, and Don is a recent alumni, so I'll let him introduce himself and then say why he came to ECU.
Hi, my name is Don Donaldson. I'm a 2017 graduate and recent 2020 graduate from the School of Counselor Education. Um, I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina, and one of the main reasons why I came to ECU is really because I felt like it was the school for me. I honestly can't explain it, but it just felt like I was supposed to be there. And I feel like being on campus really led me to do a lot of great things due to such great leadership on campus. So that's my spiel.
All right, awesome. And Sean joined us, so Sean, why don't you introduce yourself? And if you want to share, you can share why you chose to come to ECU as an employee and work.
Yes, hi, sorry. So yes, my name is Sean Simon. I serve as an associate director with the Intercultural Affairs overseeing the Ladonia Wright Cultural Center. I'm originally from Michigan, if y'all couldn't tell by my lack of Southern accent. I chose to come to ECU because I was excited to work at the Ladonia Wright Cultural Center. The prospect of working with students from diverse backgrounds, helping them to figure out their way while also helping to provide information and cultural understanding for all students is something that really appeals to me. And the thought of living where there's no snow so absolutely appealed to me, and ECU felt like a good fit when I visited, and I have not regretted my choice. So, yes.
Nice. Awesome. It's amazing how many of you talked about fit and just that it felt right when you were here on campus, or that when you came to tour, or when you really thought about that you needed that. So I'm just going to kind of open the floor and ask you some questions, and whoever wants to talk. If we find we start talking over each other, then we might try a different system, but I think y'all can probably work that out among the panelists. So let's start. Think about when you were trying to decide, or when you were getting ready to come to ECU, what were some reservations that you had prior to starting college, either as a person of color or just in general as a new student at ECU? And if you act like my students, I'm going to call on you.
Well, I can start, Ms. Karen. So, some reservations I think I had about not specifically ECU, but I think just in college in general was like being able to find where I fit in. Like it's really hard. Like in my mind, it was really hard to figure out like where I could go, what I could do, and like what I wanted to do when I got to college. Because a lot of times, like me, I came from a background where a lot of the people that I knew, like I kept friends for a very long time, so I had long term friends. Um, and the idea of like being away from those people and starting almost completely over, like it seemed really hard. So I think that was one of the things that really was hard for me to figure out, like where do you want to go, Zaria? So I think that was my like thing.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess I can
All
go
right.
next.
Oh, good, because I was about to call on you, John.
Well, I guess I read your mind there. So, if I remember the question correctly, are you asking what our reservations were before we came to campus?
Yes.
Okay. So one of my main reservations was being so close to home. Actually, I found that I was very independent. um, when I got to college, especially after high school, I definitely wanted to just be on my own and, pretty much do what I wanted to do. So I was definitely considering going to Hampton, another pirate school up in Virginia. And after a while, I began to realize that, being so close to home wouldn't be that bad. Having my family around, and then come to find out my family's roots come from Pitt County. So that was very ironic. So it just feels like I was supposed to be here, regardless of the reservations that I had about being so close.
I think I'm kind of adding on to what Don said. I considering that I was born in another state, and I even before deciding, I was kind of like hesitant about staying in North Carolina for college when I could have gone back to Virginia and gone there, but uh, it kind of like Don says, um, it was more like just the thinking part of it that was kind of difficult. Well, considering because it's kind of hard to say you have two homes when in all reality you feel like you have one. But after a long period of thinking, I was like, maybe being in North Carolina wouldn't be so bad. So I think that was kind of my thing.
Yeah. All right.
All
right.
Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
For me, it was more so, like the whole cliche, like, oh, you really find yourself in college, like you find out who your true self is. I was really on a mission to do that. Like it was my opportunity to grow and, you know, get out of the ideas that like your parents kind of like instilling you whenever you're growing up and stuff. And so I kind of just wanted to be on my own, like Don was saying, like I wanted to be independent and got as far away as possible from home. So it's been a challenge. Like it's been amazing, but it's still been a challenge being so far away from my family, being an only child and whatnot. But yeah, I just wanted like to find that self-growth within myself.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, we're going to touch base on that a little bit. So we'll come back to that shortly. So what do each of you feel like has been the biggest challenge for you as a person of color at a predominantly white institution?
I think somebody brought it up before, but it was more, like finding people who were kind of sort of like me.
Mhm.
But especially since most people don't know that, Native Americans is highly underrepresented. So it's very seldom you'll find somebody who might not come from the same tribe as you, but, well, is at least somewhat Native. And before I joined the fraternity I am, which is a Native American fraternity, it was hard to network with different kinds of people because you don't know how people are going to look at you, and you don't know how people are going to approach you, considering that you have that kind of background.
Right.
Yeah, kind of piggybacking off of Justice, it's like finding people who look like you, who you don't want to say, I don't want to say think, because you really want to, like, college is a great place to like expand your mind and meet people who don't think the same as you, but to find those people that you're comfortable with, and to find those organizations where where you can go in and really be your true self. Like it can be really hard doing that right off the bat, because you come to campus and sometimes it seems like those organizations wouldn't be put on the forefront for you. So you have to find other ways to get to those organizations, especially because some of them may be a lot smaller. A few people know about this organization. Everybody, it's not one of the large ones like Black Student Union, where everybody may know about that organization, but the smaller ones that will in them. So I think, like Justice said, is finding those people that you're really comfortable being around and comfortable being your true self with.
Mario and Don, do you have anything to add?
Oh yeah. So basically, one of the things that I've run into was just feeling like I was alone on campus, really. Just because when you're walking on campus, sometimes it can be overwhelming to only see a few people of color, you know. So honestly, that's one of the things. I'm pretty sure there's more I could get into, but it's been a lot more progress since then, and I'm hoping that the student population continues to grow in the right direction, especially during this time. I mean, it's been a crazy year.
For sure. Certainly.
To piggyback off what Don was saying, like I feel like it's hard because like you go to events and it's like events held by BSU, Black Student Union, and you see like the majority of people in there are of color, but then you go into your classroom and it's just yourself and another person that are in the classroom. So like seeing that lack of diversity in the classroom aspect is like, it's kind of like, it kind of puts you down a little bit. But I can definitely say that as a Latina student, from my freshman year to now my senior year, the numbers have gone up drastically, and that's something that gives me more it's more uplifting, and it gives me even more hope to see that we are making a change with the diversity aspect here.
Yeah, great. So a number of you really talked about finding your fit or your kind of place on campus, or finding others that were like you by joining campus organizations. So tell me a little bit about the organizations that you're involved with, and how did you find out, like if they weren't one of the large organizations, like Zaria said, it might be hard to find. So how did you find that organization and get involved with them?
Okay, so I I am a sister of Lambda Theta Alpha Latin Sorority Incorporated, and I first heard about them through a friend from another school. And then at one of the BSU showcases, I saw them like do their strolling performance, and I was like, "Oh my God!" And they were like, "Yeah, like we have an informational coming up. Like, be sure to be on the lookout for that." But if it wasn't for me going to that event, I would have never like heard about it. And then aside from that, I'm also a foreign language and literature ambassador for the Department of Foreign Languages and Literature. And through that program, it's like an outreach program to students, try to get them we try to recruit more people to come into our department and bring more awareness to our department. And for that organization, I heard about it through my advisor and one of my professors. She actually invited me to be part of it because she had seen that I had some type of leadership background and whatnot. So she was like, "Hey, I think you'd be a perfect fit for this."
Great.
I can go next. So I was a part of the Black Student Union my second semester going into my freshman year. And then from then, I actually went into leadership with Black Student Union. And then after that, I joined Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. Um, and then I had a leadership role there as well. So um, those organizations really helped me find my place. I made a lot of friends, a lot of long-term friends, actually. Um, and it wasn't too difficult to find them on campus. Number one, the Black Student Union was pretty popular when we joined, and so a lot of people were already going to meetings and talking about it, and particularly those that lived on College Hill. A lot of my floor mates ended up going to BSU, so we decided to join in. And then from there, we literally stuck around until our junior years when we had to pass the baton to the younger students. And then joining Kappa Alpha Psi was, I mean, they were on campus and you would see them at, every showcase and they would do their strolls like the young lady just said before me. And so when you see that, you automatically you just want to be a part of an organization like that in sync. They really feel or give you the feel of true brotherhood. So that's how I found them. So all of my involvement on campus, including working with higher education individuals such as Eric Newell and Dr. Hardy, and of course Sean Simon and you, Karen, as well, definitely helped me find another place where I felt like I was nurturing my leadership growth. So all in all, I feel like I had a really well-rounded experience at ECU.
Um, Thanks. I lead it, Don. Um, just an add, for those that may be looking for those spaces. So the Don't Right Cultural Center, we really work to create those spaces where you can come into our space, hang out, do classwork. There's an art gallery. There's a prayer space, prayer meditation space. So you can really kind of come in. We also, at the beginning of the year, have our welcome back kickoff. It's going to look drastically different this year. Sorry, COVID, and then we have multicultural mirrors, which really started. We tried to kick it off last year, it didn't work, but we're determined to see it through this year, even with COVID, as a chance for those that sign up to participate, which you can go to our website, lwcc.ecu.edu, to sign up, for a chance for you to network with your fellow incoming pirates, meet some of the staff and resources in a more one-on-one setting where you can have conversations with them, as well as network with other student leaders who may be a part of some of these organizations that you want to learn more about. And so through our office, we also work with those organizations. So you can find out a lot, and we are very active on social media as well. But those two events that I listed, along with student activities organizations, has Get a Clue. Though this year that may look different. I'm not quite sure how they're going to do that. but those 3 events at the beginning of the year are really your great lead-in to finding those niches. There we go. Close enough. To find your group of folks, to find your community within the larger community itself. So please take advantage of those opportunities.
Yeah, and Sean, did you want to highlight your co-ed class as well?
Yes, 008. And we're not at 8 o'clock in the morning because I refuse to do that to myself. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, I think I said 10 to 11, I think. But yes, 008 if you're looking at my classes.
Right, yeah. So if you're not aware, co-ed is our freshman seminar class. It really is an introduction to college life. We talk about time management and study skills and career exploration and how to get involved on campus. And Sean is teaching a cultural understanding specific section. It's 008. And so you can go on and register yourself for that. And so we highly encourage that. It's a great class for anyone, but it'll be a great resource to be able to connect with Sean and then other folks in that class. They're all small, so it'll be less than 20 people, so it'll be a really good connection point for you as well. So some of you have really talked about your leadership positions and your organizations and what an impact that had on you. So will you share a little bit about what you've gained as a leader in your organizations and how that really contributed to your growth while you've been in college? Sorry, I'm going to pick on you.
So as a first, my semester, when I became a sister, like fresh off, I had to become president of my organization because everyone was graduating. And if you know anything about sorority fraternity life, it is a lot of work. There's a lot of events that you have to put on for people, and like it varies from with my organization. We do a lot of educational programs, a lot of cultural programs, and like Sean was saying, like the Ladonia Wright Culture Center reaches out to us and they're like, hey, we want to collab. We want to do this and that. The Women and Genders Office, like we work with everyone on campus that we can. We do collaborations with other organizations, like other sororities and fraternities. And honestly, if it wasn't for my organization, for me having to be put on the spot and have no choice but to step up to the plate of leadership, I probably would not even be on this call right now. Like it honestly makes you grow as a person. I'm so thankful for my organization, and through that I was also able to get my position as an ambassador for the foreign languages and literature department, in which I also bring forward like the different techniques and skills that I've learned through my sorority. I put that into my ambassadors organization. Like I'm like, okay, well we have to do this and that. So like across disciplines, like you learn how to work with other people, you learn how to put on events, like you just have to step up to the plate, you know, put some big girl pants on, big boy pants on, and make it can.
I think Marielle, did I say your name right? Marielle?
Yeah.
I think you pretty much said it all there. That is the perfect way to describe what leadership is like at ECU. It is difficult, rewarding, tear-jerking. It's all of these things in one, but at the same time, you learn so much about yourself, and you learn so much about how to interact with other people. You force yourself to really do what needs to be done so that your organization or whoever it is that you're representing is represented in the right way. So yeah, that was perfect.
The other really cool thing about leadership positions on campus is they parlay into other leadership positions. And sometimes they're even paid. Don, the president of BSU, put him on the radar, and that's kind of how he got his GA position with our office.
The only way I
So
got that job, actually.
I wasn't gonna put you on the spot like that, but sure. But you get to know folks, and so when there's opportunities going out, not to say that we don't provide equal opportunity for everybody, but we'll make sure you know about it. We'll be like, hey, did you know about this? Did you go out for this? So it really puts you at the forefront of folks that have those that are in those positions to help you and make sure that you know about different opportunities um, and really just help. So, like, have you gone to the Career Center? Let me look over your resume. Those really different opportunities in those leadership roles that can also help you find mentors and lifelong people that are going to champion you. Because that's how I got into the position I am. And and that's because I sucked up to my RA because housing. And that kind of parlayed me into coming into student affairs. So you never know what your leadership opportunities can lead to.
I think that's a great way to lead into me because everything that Sean just said literally is me. So so literally I'm a resident advisor. It's like my like if you ever talk to me, it's like my like number one like thing I'll throw out because I really enjoy my job and kind of like Sean like it's like inspiring me to go into student affairs. It's kind of one of the reasons that I push myself to like become an orientation and push myself to get to know Miss Karen and Miss Corey very well because like I really want to get those experiences. But I think that one reason that I became an RA in the first place was because when I like walked into my residence hall my first year, so I lived in Tyler, and there were two girls that were black and were RAs, and they like really inspired me to be like that representation, like because I was able to see someone like me in a leadership position on campus, and I felt like, well, I could be that for somebody else. So that's one of the reasons that I pushed myself to do it, and I think something that I ended up getting out of it was just that push to really become like a leader and really expose other people to different things, like um, just one thing that I think Sean might have actually organized this event. One event that like I really pushed last year that I did with my residents was the movie viewing of The Hate You Give that the Ladonia Wright Cultural Center hosted, and it was free tickets. And I was first of all, I was like, it's a free movie, and I the movie, and I was like, I could turn this into a program for my residents, and it was just an awesome opportunity for them to be exposed to things that happen in our everyday lives, and they didn't have to pay a dime for it, and it ended up being a really great exposure for my residents, and I actually ended up walking away with a free copy of the book, and I was really excited about it. But either way, I think the most important thing that like I got out of my exposure as RA was just being able to open people's eyes to other things, and for some of my residents to open my eyes to things that are happening, and getting that exposure to the world. So yeah.
And I didn't pay
All
her
right,
to
so
say
we'll kind
that.
and you didn't pay her. You can pay her later, Sean. You contact her later. All right, so let's switch gears for just a minute and think back to your freshman year. What is one resource that you are aware of now on campus that you really wish you would have known about as a freshman?
Honestly, I would have to say Ladonia Wright Culture Center, ironically enough. I really was not as involved in that center as much as I honestly should have, number one, but could have as well. So if I had one thing that I could take back, it would be that I got involved early on so that I really understood the importance of the center.
I'd say the counseling center. I think, especially in like a lot of, from a lot of our point of views, from a minority standpoint, it can be very hard to deal with the mental side of college. College is not an easy transition at all. It's not even easy now. Um, and I think the counseling center was like it's thrown at you, but you don't really think about the benefits of their resource, and especially the fact that they're free. is like the most important one. You don't have to worry about the cost that it may be to just see somebody to talk about what you're going through as you transition in college. So the counseling center is like definitely look into it for any reason. I think they're just an important resource that ECU has.
Justice or Mariel, do you have anything to add?
For me, it would just like Zaria said, it would have to be the counseling center, just because they have so many things offered to you, and people are sometimes like scared to go, and stuff like that. But there's really no shame in it, and like I've set my appointments and whatnot, and it really is helpful.
For me, I would say the Pirate Academic Success Center, which is like our tutoring center. College is tough enough as it is, and especially your freshman year when you're trying to acclimate into an area that one you're not fully aware of as far as the diversity is concerned, and when that takes a little bit more of a toll, it could kind of impact your performance in the classroom as well. Um, so I would say it's kind of like what Marielle said. It's no shame in going because I know a lot of people are kind of afraid to go to tutoring, especially being a person of color, and I'm kind of fearing that they might be looked at differently compared to their majority counterparts. But yeah, there's no shame in going to the success center and getting help if you need it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, thank you very much. So we definitely want to leave time for some questions, but before we let our participants ask questions, why don't you think about what piece of advice you would give an incoming student or our incoming students that are even on this panel or on this session right now?
I would say have an open mind because you might be coming into the college, wondering, how am I going to fit in, especially if you identify as part of the minority group. You might fear, how are people going to look at me for who I am and what I look like compared to, what I can show and who I am as a person. They might be thinking the same thing, how do I approach this in a way where it doesn't sound like I'm like giving off a bad vibe, but rather, just trying to understand, especially given the current times we're in right now where, like people are confused on how to address certain situations, just remember to have an open mind and have a positive outlook on college, you're there, one, to figure out who you are as a person. And if you kind of already have an idea, it's a good opportunity for you to learn more about yourself and figure out more about who you feel like you are.
Thank you.
I think my number one tip, and like sometimes I say this kind of often, and sometimes the staff laughs at me when I say it because it can be very brutal when I say it, but I like be ready to grow. Like that's what college is. Even if you go in thinking that like I'm not gonna change, I'm gonna be the same. Like college is not that. That's not what it is at all. This is like the ultimate opportunity to learn, to grow, to like change. That's exactly what college is, and it's a safe space to do it. If you're going to change your mind about your career path, if you're going to change your mind about like anything, really who you are in general, this is the best place to do it because college gives you the resources to be able to go to the people you need to figure out what's going on and like how like who you really are. So like be ready for change because regardless of what's going to happen, you're going to end up coming out a completely different person no matter what.
My piece of advice would be to put yourself out there. If you don't put yourself out there, you're not being open for opportunities. You're not letting yourself become better than you. You're not letting yourself become the best version of you possible. If it wasn't for me being open to taking a Hispanic studies class, I would have never discovered that I wanted to go and like, teach about my roots, my culture, and just go into education overall. I was a nursing major. Since a little kid, I wanted to be a nurse. I wanted to be a doctor. Like I was so set on medicine. And then junior year, I was like, this isn't what I want to do anymore. Junior year, I ended up switching my major. Like it's okay. Like it's change. It's good change. Change is positive.
Thank you.
I think the best advice I could give is number one, don't be too lazy. And number two, don't be too scared to give your all in college. Um, a lot of times you'll find that you are really in control of everything that you do on campus. Um, you're going to find days that you don't want to go to class. You're going to find days where you don't want to necessarily interact with people. And there's going to be some times where you really just want to go out and interact with people and not pay attention to what's important, like your studies. So I would say just make sure that you give it 100%. If you need to go to the Pirate Tutoring Center to learn something, go there with that open mindset that the other fellow was saying, um, and get the work done. If you need to go to the library, do that. If you need to speak to someone in the office as an administrator or something like that, go do what you need to do, and don't be too lazy to do it, and don't be afraid to do it either.
So the piece of advice I'm going to give is someone that teaches a class. One, free stuff, always good, always. Two, read your syllabus because I'm not going to remind you when your homework is due. It's just due. Three, use your planner. Four, get some sleep. And five, office hours are for you. And there is no dumb question. The only dumb question is the one that's not asked. So you're left unclear about instructions. So those are the four pieces of advice that I will give any incoming student. Get to know your professor, just like getting to know administrators. They'll help you with research, letters of recommendation if you're going to grad school or want an internship. You want those relationships. So those are the four pieces I have for you.
Nice. All of those. Really great advice from all the panelists. I think we covered all the bases there. It's really good. All right, so now's the opportunity for our attendees here to be able to ask our panelists any questions that you have. As you've seen, they're a great resource. They have lots of knowledge. So if you just want to put in the chat any questions that you have, I know they'll be happy to answer them.
And like Sean was saying, there are no dumb questions.
Right. Yes, thank you. I think maybe y'all did such a great job, they don't have any questions. But while they're thinking of questions, when I think about this, a lot of you really talked about networking with other people on campus, and what an impact that has had on kind of your journey in college. How did you make those connections? How did you network with administrators and faculty and staff? And some of you have talked a little bit about this, but expand a little bit more about how that really impacted you while you're at ECU.
I think something that's kind of difficult for students to grasp sometimes, especially as freshmen, is that your professors want to be there for you. They want to see you progress and be successful in their class and outside of their classroom. And so I think what helped me kind of like confide with my professors and be open to going to office hours and just talking to them like as regular humans, was seeing them as regular humans, like seeing them as my friend and seeing that they wanted growth for me. But yeah.
Yeah, and I'll expand on that because when I've talked to new students, they say that in high school, people told them how professors were so mean and they didn't want to help them and they were just going to be there to give their lectures, and they didn't really care what you did, but they really do care, and they really want to be successful, and they really want you to be to do well in their class and to make connections with them. They're, like Sean said, they're not going to hold your hand and make sure that you know everything that's happening on the syllabus, and you do have to go seek them out. But once you seek them out, they really are invested in your success too. So what about the rest of you? How did you network? How did you make those connections on campus?
So the networking piece, I think, is probably one of the most important pieces on campus, just because you want to meet great people who can help you through all the 4 years of your college, that you can trust, and you don't really have to worry about dealing with other social distractions that could happen if you didn't find a good group of people. So, and then on top of that, the professional piece, making sure you get to know your professors or individuals who are in a position that you feel is for you as well. So getting to know those individuals to get the knowledge to know how to move in the direction or the more positive direction for you to achieve the goals that you are setting for yourself.
I think to piggyback off of Don, what he was saying, like finding um, those professionals that are available like on campus that can help you get where you want to go. So like finding organizations. I know for me, one organization that I joined this year that has really helped with my networking was like the Student Affairs Explorers program, because like once I joined that program, I was able to see multiple people in student affairs who like could help me, and I could literally go to any of them and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about going into this area. Like, how can you help me? Or like, how can I like uh, gain your like get some experience from you? Maybe I could shadow you, like different things." I think there's like a lot of professionals on campus that can give you those opportunities and who are like extremely willing to do that. They really do want to see the students succeed. So being able to take advantage of like the adults that are around really helps.
Um, to go for Zaria, am I saying that right? Yes. Although I still don't feel adult, but to kind of go with what you're saying, the Career Center, I'm going to plug a different office. The Career Center is great at helping with that, with resumes, networking, finding internships, finding jobs after graduation. We partner with them quite frequently, and we used to do, I don't know if we won't be doing it this year, but the etiquette dinner, where it helps you get some of those professional skills that you might not have learned at home because it's not just, eating with your family. Um, so, yeah, I think that is a great place for networking. And they have different events, so you can meet with different folks from different industries. Um, so I definitely encourage that, as well as the wonderful different and various student orgs on campus.
I think you all pretty much touched based on that. If you're somebody like me who's a sophomore who's still building that stuff, it kind of helps to learn from those that have been before you, and kind of taking a portion of what they've done and contributed toward what you want to do and toward where you want to go. Like for me, recently became a member of Epsilon Chi Nu fraternity, which I mentioned is the Native American fraternity. And joining that, it helped me build a little bit more of not just the social aspect, but more like Sean was saying, the professional part of it too. Because in order to be successful in one area, you got to be successful in the other. It's like being on a scale. You got to make sure things are equal.
Yeah, a lot of you have really talked about having goals and reaching them and how you did that. What kind of goals did you set for yourself? Um, and how have you gone about reaching those goals? And how have you maybe had to adjust those goals as you went through your time at ECU?
So I can start. So first, I'll start by saying, like I said before, one of my biggest tips is change, and part of that it comes from like my personal experience at ECU. So I started like Marielle, like in a completely different major. Like I was a athletic training major. I literally had my eyes like set on what comes next, because for like a lot of athletic training students, you'll see like they come into school, they do their clinicals, like kind of like nursing, like they're focused on the end goal, which is getting out of college and moving past. And so originally my goal started there, like my goal is to finish college and get through. And like I wasn't planning on being as involved as I originally, like as I ended up being, because I was like, I don't have time for it. So I think my goal started with that, and then it evolved to, okay, actually, like everybody else seems to be having like a lot of fun, and I'm so focused in school that like I want to have like fun in organizations and things like that too. Like they seem to be doing other things, and I wasn't getting that opportunity. So then it changed to, okay, Zaria, well, how many organizations do you want to join, or how many do you want to look into? So then I took that there, and then it went to, okay, you've figured out kind of what you want your experience to look at, what's next, and then it evolved to, okay, maybe I should get a job, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. So I think that evolution, like making sure that you're reevaluating your goals as you move through your experiences, and also like being honest with yourself about what you, because I think a lot of times you can be so focused. Like I said, I was very focused on the end goal, and I was like, but do I want to walk out of college and be like, I didn't get anything out of it except for a degree? So I think that was like my thing so that was my thing about goal setting, like making sure that I'm reevaluating often enough that I'm happy where I'm at and where I plan to go.
Yeah, it's obvious when you talk, Zara, how it all goes back to being open to that growth and thinking about what else you want to get or what else can I join, and like you said, reevaluating your goals. And I like that you said thinking about like how many organizations do I want to get involved in, because sometimes people get really over involved in things too, and so trying to find that balance as well. Do any of the others want to talk about how you set goals or how you maybe readjust them as you go through college?
I think I'm kind of piggybacking on what Zaria said. Kind of like her, I had the end goal of graduating with a biology degree and going to medical school. But as time went by, I was like, I had a good opportunity to sit down and like, is this truly what I want to do? Because it's like people say, you don't want to end up in a career that you don't love. And I mean, the money might be great, but that means nothing if you don't love what you do. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm still interested in the healthcare field, so I kind of changed track with that. But the thing that came behind with that is it's something I like to say. It's better to always improve than to stay the same. Because if you stay the same, you're never gonna go nowhere. It's like running a race. If you're running at a certain pace for so long, that pace can wear you out.
That's great advice, Justice. All right, so I do want to ask we're kind of rounding down our time, but I did want to ask our attendees one more time if they had any questions for our expert panelists here with us today. I really don't see any. I do want to note the people that are on today to know that you do have lots of resources on campus, and one great one really is Sean, who's on this as well. The Office of Student Transitions will be happy to help you make those connections to campus, help guide you to the right place, the offices and resources. So feel free to reach out if you think of any questions later or need anything. You can definitely reach out to the Ladonia Wright Cultural Center or shoot an email to orientation@ecu.edu as well. We'll be more than happy to, again, connect you to the resource or help you get to the right spot. Do any of our panelists have any last minute thoughts or anything that you want to share?
Do great this next year. Even amidst COVID, just do your level best to get through it, and you'll see the senior year before you know it.
So true.
Really consider Multicultural Mirrors. It is a great help introduce you into campus, and it will be August 3rd, and it is completely free for you to attend. So yeah.
And Sean, they can register for that on your website.
Yes, it is. I'll put the website in the chat. But
Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
it is under programs. It is right there. Yep.
Okay, great. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. As a reminder, the session's been recorded and an archived copy will be on our website once we have it closed captioned. Give us a few days to make sure that we close caption it correctly, and then that will be up on our website in case you want to refer back to that. Tomorrow, we will be having Campus Recreation and Wellness Day. There are going to be tours of the rec center, an overview of the SRC, and a breakdown of wellness, sport programs, and fitness. So you can go to our website to look for the full lineup. It's orientation.ecu.edu. So thanks for joining us and have a great evening. And thank you to all our wonderful panelists.
Goodbye, everyone, and good luck.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Aloha.